That's trademarked. You can't,
Oh, okay.
I'm Bradley.
Oh my.
This guy is just saying words with long pauses
I showed up drunk.
in
I'm ready.
between the words. And I can't get the intro started.
You're good to go. You're cleared.
Am I, though?
For landing.
America! You dirty dog! You dirty dog! My name is Bradley Jones,
I'm Andrew Moldenhauer.
I'm Andy Hubert.
and this is not a movie review podcast, but a podcast where we try to recall the events of a film that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. This is what we remember about Almost Famous.
Were there 2 or 3 bad guys in Home Alone? And who was that forgetful fish in Finding Nemo? Join us as we're watching films. See what we remember and what memories we kill. Let's start the show. Here we go. This is what we remember.
And it's only been about 16 years since we could have seen this movie, because it came out really fairly recently. in
2000.
terms of
Okay,
what
so
we've
yeah,
seen.
for us, that's pretty
Not
recent.
too bad.
Pretty recent.
So
What do you think the main character's name is?
Good question.
Because I could not figure that out.
I don't.
I'm going with John.
I'm gonna say Will.
I'm gonna go with Kevin because that's the right
nobody
name.
good name is named Kevin.
I'm going with Kevin McAllister.
Sorry to all the Kevins out there, but man,
Kevin's represent.
Kevin's in the house.
Wasn't that the name we thought the kid in Rookie of the Year was?
No, we thought it
Henry?
was Henry.
But it is
Yeah.
Henry, isn't it? Though I thought it was.
No, we
Henry,
thought it
but we
was,
thought it was something else.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Go listen to episode 2.
Yeah,
you
go
can,
listen
you
to
can
that
tell
one.
us what we thought it was.
Yeah, terrible.
So let's go through. The movie is basically about a guy who's writing for the Rolling Stone, right?
A
kid.
guy isn't a kid.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
in high school.
He's like 16 or
Guys
something.
could be kids. There's no discrimination.
Well, no. I just wanted. I agree with you. I just wanted to
Oh, he's in
clarify.
high school. Is he 18 or is he
He's-
17? Or?
No, he's like 16
Freshman
or
in
something.
high-
Like
16,
Does
maybe?
he lie about his
Does he
age?
lie about?
I think so.
Yeah,
In
I
order to
think
get the
he-
job.
yeah.
So is it Rolling Stone that he's writing for? Or is
Yes,
it like
it
a
is
regular
Rolling
one?
Stone.
And he is just going on tour with a bunch of different bands and doing reviews.
No. He's going on tour with
Just one band?
Yes.
Oh.
His role with Rolling Stones is to just follow this one band on their tour.
And does the band make believe, or it's supposed to be like a band that's like
So this
another band?
the band's name is Stillwater.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And
So
then
I remember that.
Clearance, Stillwater Revival.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Clarence
that.
is Stillwater Revival.
I did have a question. What do you think this band? Who do you think this band is supposed to be?
Okay.
So I think this movie takes, or
The
I think
Eagles.
yeah.
That's my guess.
Okay,
I could see the Eagles, maybe
I was
Fleetwood
gonna-
Mac.
I was saying Aerosmith.
Oh, I think it's a little too early for Aerosmith. Doesn't the movie take place in like early 80s?
No, this movie takes
Or, like,
place in
70s?
like '73.
Okay.
That's when I think it takes place. There will be a sign where will tell us what year because they have a tour bus at the very end of the movie.
Okay.
Sign everywhere. This a sign.
Yep.
It is Woodstock happened?
Woodstock. Well, by '73, yes.
Okay.
Woodstock happened in '69.
So this is kind of like the big rock and roll boom of the 70s, which may or may not
Yeah, like jam
happen.
bands.
Jam band going around town.
Yep.
So I think all the bands that we named were definitely part of that movement.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I could not understand how did he get the job for the Rolling Stone? Did he write an article or something like that?
he
Yes.
won?
Well, no,
He
because
won
he
the
was
competition?
He was like writing articles for like LA, like their equivalent of blogs that day, I guess, like newsletters and stuff for music.
Okay.
I think he.
I think just a paper or
Yeah,
school
like-
paper. Or
I don't think it was a scope. I think he was writing it for like actual
His city
papers, but
paper?
like little regional papers.
So did he submit something to Rolling Stone?
I think he proposed, like the story of going on tour, but he specifically left out that he's 16.
Does he
They
na-
don't know that he's a kid.
Does he narrate the film a la John Cusack in High Fidelity, or does he like talk?
I
Is there a
don't-
voiceover?
I don't think there is
I
voice.
think
over.
there's voiceover, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna flat out say no.
Okay,
Just to have
I was,
a
I was
stance.
just curious because I didn't know.
But he meets someone from.
He's a super vanilla kid too. Doesn't he have like a bowl cut?
Yeah, well,
And he's just kind of like a
It was
nobody
like
kid.
his mom like didn't want him listening to rock and roll, but his sister did, so he listened to like his sister's records.
Yes, his mom did not want him to listen to rock and roll at all. I think I remember he was going to a concert to write an article, and he had like I don't know understand how he had backstage passes, but his
Probably
mom
snuck in, or
his mom dropped him off, and he got snuck in to to the backstage to talk to a band.
Okay.
Maybe he wrote that article and submitted it to
That could
Rolling
be.
Stone.
Yeah, and they liked it, and they asked him to follow the band or something.
Yeah, and I think that Philip Seymour Hoffman is the guy who is running Rolling Stone in his city or whatever. Like, he's the one who gives him the job.
I might be wrong. I feel like maybe I'm thinking of a different movie, but I feel like the idea was that he was a freelance writer, and they like approved like Rolling Stone was like, yeah, sure, write like a little blurb about this one concert, and he basically just accidentally, essentially, he like tells them he's a Rolling Stone writer, and they invite him on tour with them.
Oh,
And like
maybe
so,
that
the
is.
magazine also does. So he like lies to the band kind of too about being a Rolling Stone writer because he's just. Like, he was just supposed to write, like, a little blurb about the one show, potentially for Rolling Stone.
That's so much more interesting. I think that's probably.
I hope that's the case.
gotta be right.
yeah, because I have a question mark. Like, what was his arc in the film? So that would actually like flush out a lot of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that case of misidentity or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
False identityhood. That's not a word.
Identityhood.
So I think from the beginning the band doesn't really like him, but they Oh no! I think the lead singer doesn't like him.
Okay.
I think they just don't even care. Like, he's like a nobody or whatever until he starts writing like, good articles about them. Or
I know, I
because
think
I feel like
that-
it would be in their best interest to get him to write good stuff about them.
Right.
Right, and I feel like at first they are like trying to impress him and like telling him all these
Because
cool
it's
things.
Rolling Stone. They keep saying like
Yeah,
Rolling
because
Stone
he's
magazine.
for Rolling Stone, and they're like, oh crap, like a Rolling Stone article could really blow us up.
Yeah, he's like. I think they even say like, "Can we be on the cover?" And the kid's like, "Yeah, you
Sure,
might be.
why
You
not?"
might be on the cover." And they like get really excited about that.
And
He's
then
kind of lying. I guess.
But then as the tour progresses, like he becomes more of the background, so he sees more and more because they kind of forget who he like he's there or forget that he's a writer. Instead he's just sort of part of the entourage that's following them.
yeah.
So let's go into the entourage. Is it always like Kate Hudson is definitely like a big part of the
She's
love
like
interest,
their
right?
like head groupie or whatever.
Penny Lane. That's her name in the movie.
Oh, okay. Isn't that also an adult film star? His name?
No, that's a Beatles song.
Oh, okay.
Same difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like the same thing.
So that's the name that she goes by in the
And
movie.
does she make reference, or does it reference overtly that it's the Beatles song, or is it like?
I
Like,
think so,
they're not
yes.
sure if it's her real name or
Oh.
not. or-
No, it's like a nickname. It's
Okay.
like a
Does she
goofy
make up
name.
like several different names throughout, like that are all different songs, or just that she sticks with that one?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I thought she just sticks with the one, but I don't know.
And is she just a groupie, or does she have like an alternative motive for going around with the band? Is she
She's-
dating the lead singer?
I think she. It's not that she's dating the lead singer, but they have like a relationship, like a loose relationship, and she's been like just sort of a professional groupie for a long time. I guess for like different bands. No, like like she's been
yeah,
a groupie
I think
for a
she
long
doesn't
time.
like.
Uh-huh.
She's kind of a drifter
Because they joke
character.
about like how she talks about jokingly about retiring as a groupie, just because she's been doing it for a long time, and then she has like. She like teaches other groupies about being a groupie.
Yeah, doesn't she kind of like show him the ropes a little bit?
Yes,
Like,
she
the
kind of
backstage
she
life?
like takes him under
He-
her wing essentially
yeah.
to kind of introduce him to like the rock lifestyle.
Yeah, he falls in love with her.
Oh yeah, she's
pretty quickly.
gorgeous in
For
the film.
sure.
Kate Hudson was so pretty.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
also the other girl who's a groupie. She's in The Craft, and she's in like fart.
fart store.
What were you saying? That's Verussa Balk is the only girl. in The
Verussa
Craft.
Balk.
Is
yes.
it her?
Yeah,
Oh.
she's in the movie too.
Oh, okay.
She's another groupie.
Glad that's the only girl from The Craft. Oh, Nev Campbell and Ben Stiller's wife, which I forget her name.
Christina,
Yeah.
Christy something.
Christy something is also
It's
in The
not
Craft.
Christina Applegate. This was a question I quiz over.
And then the other girl was in a TV show with a handsome man, and she was in Empire Records, and I totally forget what her name is.
So we are
Shannon
talking about
something?
The Craft.
yeah, we're talking. This week we're doing the craft. So they go on tour.
They go
with
on
the
tour,
band.
and the whole movie is just basically them on tour.
Yeah.
Wait, let's go back to talk about Verussa Balk. I liked her a lot in the 90s, and she just disappeared off the grid. She was in Return to Oz, a bunch of other stuff, and man.
She's kind of weird looking.
Yeah, I mean, she's got like a Laura Petty kind of vibe, like, who's also just disappeared. There was a couple of just really
Yeah.
she's also
rockin'
in,
90s girls that just went away.
Oh, what is that? Dr. Moreau. She's in that.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, I didn't see it, but I know the documentary
All right.
that talks about it. She was in that movie.
So enough of me gushing about
Your favorite.
my favorite 90s babes. Okay.
So
There's plenty of time for that.
But yeah, so the progress of the movie is essentially them on tour, I feel like over the course of the tour,
It's like Spinal Tap.
it is I feel like a lot like Spinal Tap in that like the band starts to
The tour is
come
just
apart and the tour is
not
bananas.
going well at all.
Yes.
They're not selling out. They're like things are.
They're struggling.
Shows are getting canceled. They're having issues.
Did I make up a scene where they're at like a house and there's a swimming pool?
Oh no, you did not make that up.
And someone like falls off the roof or something.
One of the band members is, I think, threatening to like jump off the roof into the pool, and the main character ends up, I think, talking him down, or he does it, one or the other. Like he tries to talk
Those
him
are
down.
the
There's
two
nothing in
options.
between. The
No,
house
no.
doesn't explode.
Oh, good
There is
twist,
nothing
good
in
twist.
between because I don't know.
They have the same scene and get him to the Greek. Are you sure you're not thinking about that?
No,
Oh,
it does
boy.
happen. No,
Okay.
I totally agree with you, Brad. It does happen.
Okay.
Okay.
There is a swimming pool. There's a house party. He's on a lot of drugs, and he wants to jump off into the swimming pool. And I think the main character talks him down.
Is the main character sort of like a nerd about like drugs and drinking and stuff, or does he eventually like get into it? Or
Yeah, I think
is
it is that
completely avoided?
he has like the romantic version of rock and roll life in his head because all he's like had is listening to music and reading articles, but he hasn't like gone to shows and his mom doesn't even know that he listens to rock music and he's not allowed.
Is there like
So-
a drug sequence where there's like people around a circle passing a doobie and then like weird music plays and he falls out of it?
I mean, that does sound like
Is that
something
cliche
that
thing
should
I
happening
can
in the film?
imagine that happening. No, I think his mom doesn't want him to listen to rock music, but like she knows that he goes on tour with the band. Like she's aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
She
As
checks
with
in
the
with-
band.
Yes,
Okay.
she actually checks.
Because I'm
in with
wondering if
him
like he
multiple
lied to her
times.
too and said like, "Oh, I'm doing this other writing assignment. I'm going to be gone."
I'm also wondering if there's a moment where like she wants him to come home or something just like falls apart with him, right? Where
Yeah,
he
I
has like
don't-
a breakup with the band or does something.
Maybe,
at the
but
very end of
I
the film.
definitely know that she like calls him a couple times to check in on him on this tour, and there are like one time where someone like offers drugs or something like that, or someone comes by and like,
I
gives
bet
him
her
a
mom
kiss.
was jealous. She had done drugs before and she was just wanting to be part of the lifestyle.
Maybe, I don't know.
Jealous of her son. What about the daughter? I bet she comes back into it somehow. No?
I feel like at the end,
Doesn't
like
short
he
show
comes
up.
home. I feel like he comes home and she, like, sort of comforts him in a way. Like he's been through some shit, like on this crazy tour, and
Yeah.
she's the one that's there to be like, hey,
He's
like
loved
let's
and lost
let's just go home, like the two of them.
Yeah,
Does he write like a mean article and like does the band turn on him at any point during the film?
I think
People
I
go
want
against
to
him?
say. Well, I know
People find out he's lying about working for Rolling Stone.
that's
or
what I'm
something like
thinking.
that?
Is at the end they find like both like the guy that he talked to at Rolling Stone that he convinced to like have him write the one thing. Like comes out to meet them unannounced or something and finds out one that he's a kid and two that that's when the band also finds out that he doesn't officially work for Rolling Stone and so there's
Yeah.
probably a big conflict scene. I hope this happens and I'm
Yeah,
not just
I
totally
mean-
making this up.
I mean, it would make sense
But
in the
he-
story of a narrative.
Yeah.
he does. I mean, he writes a flat out honest.
yeah, he writes like a
review
whole behind
of-
the scenes
of their
and
tour.
Yeah,
Is
a
it o-
very candid.
Is it over
story.
like the course of just a couple months of like their tour?
I
or
think
is it-
so.
Yeah.
yeah. When the actual review comes out, because I believe it does get into Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Like at first they're not happy with it, but then they like.
Well, they're upset that he's like a kid, but I feel like they established in the beginning that he's like a really good writer.
Yes.
Is the band any good? Do they have like catchy songs? I know because you mentioned Spinal Tap, and like Spinal Tap CD of Spinal Tap's awesome.
Oh, it's so good.
Is there
Oh my gosh,
are
it's so
any
good.
of these songs like catchy or good or like
I
do they
don't
cut right
remember.
before good things?
I feel like I
happen?
don't remember, and I feel like that's indicative that they're just sort of kind of generic.
They play a
70s.
few bars before they cut to a different scene.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, I don't remember what their songs are like. I think they keep playing one song throughout the movie.
that could be.
That's like their hit
Well,
song.
it's like
Is it
they-
about Kate Hudson or something like that?
I don't think so.
No.
I think the band actually doesn't really care about Kate Hudson at all.
Well, she's on the like I said, she kind of has like a relationship with the lead guy in the band,
Jason Lee.
But one of the other band members is like secretly in love with her and is upset about it, and that causes a bunch of tension because he's always upset about it. And then there's like the big climactic scene where their plane almost crashes.
Yeah.
Oh, classic.
I don't know if you remember. Yeah, they like get in a plane to fly to their next gig, and they didn't let her on it. Like they were like, you have to stay here because they were going to their next gig, the lead guy's like wife was going to be there or something, or his ex-wife or something. So,
she
like,
was a mistress.
so they're
I
like, you're
forgot
not
about
allowed
that.
to come because she can't see you with him. And she gets left behind, and then on the way to there, the plane almost crashes, and the band has like this big like
She was the good
confession.
luck charm.
Well, it's like the
They needed
confessions
her.
moment with them all because they think they're gonna die, so it's like their last chance to say something. So that's when the one guy confesses that he's always loved Penny, and
There's another
that the lead
character-
singer treated her like crap.
There's another character that confesses that he's gay.
Yeah,
that
I
moment.
think you're right.
And then right after he says that, the plane like reaches altitude again.
Levels out. So then they land and like yes, they have to like, kind of deal with all the confessions they made while they were like crashing.
Yeah.
So I know there's a big conflict with the fact that they left Penny behind and the one guy likes her.
Is there an overdose scene? It feels like that might be appropriate.
I
That
feel
would-
like if
that would
anybody,
make
it's going to be
sense.
Penny that overdoses. There is a scene where she's on something, and the main character is trying to take care of her, where the other band members are just more
Leaving her?
apathetic.
Yeah, okay.
Like she's like doped up on something, and he's like really trying to desperately like help her. If she falls asleep, she's going to die or something
Right.
like that.
Okay.
It is like a very dramatic moment.
Man, I'm so excited to watch this movie.
We also we didn't mention that there's that classic scene where they're all singing "Tiny Dancer," either on a bus or a plane.
I don't remember that.
I
How do I
don't-
not
I
remember
don't
that?
remember
Oh, that
at
was
all.
that's like in the trailer. Like that's
Oh,
a huge
man.
moment. They're all like sitting down singing "Tiny Dancer."
Okay. I'm
the
looking forward
Jimmy
to that.
Fallon cameo that everyone knows about.
Yeah.
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 He's got like a sweet bowl cut, glasses, and like a Fu Manchu stash.
Yeah, I think the Tiny Dancer moment is like all the band members like just got into a big disagreement, and then that song comes on, and they just like all are sitting in silence, and then eventually like it's so freaking catchy, they just all start singing it together, and they're like, oh, why are we arguing?
Okay, that totally sounds like
So
a
is
legit
he on
scene.
the actual like bus with them a lot of the time? And is it like a an actual like caravan bus? Or
It's
is
like
it
an old school tour bus. So it's like the
Tour bus?
old Greyhound bus that got
I was
converted
wondering why
into
that,
like
the
a living
writer
thing.
guy would be access to that. Maybe he's just like that charming, or that they're worried about the review to like let him on that bus.
Well, that was not uncommon for Rolling Stone writers to like go on a whole tour with the band and write a
Yeah.
love
Sure.
story.
I mean, it's like the same as like a reporter's going on tour with like a politician who's running for president,
right,
or
and
something
when
like
and,
that.
and like I said, in the '70s especially, like if you were a writer for Rolling Stone, like that, like a band would be crazy not to give you access. Like that was huge publicity to be in Rolling Stone.
Is there a moment where he meets up with like another Rolling Stone writer and like almost gets outed, or someone like kind of
Ooh.
calls him on it? Do you
No.
think that might occur?
I'd be surprised.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know either.
That might be a
Oh, who do you work for? Bill. Oh, I've never met Bill before. Is he new? It's like, yeah, he just started a week ago.
I thought you haven't seen this in a while. How are you quoting the scene for us? That's the whole scene. That's it.
I hope that's
Word
in
for word.
I hope that's in the movie.
And it's one guy saying the whole thing. It's not even two characters.
So I'm gonna say that their music stinks, but this movie has a good soundtrack of just like stuff that's in the
Oh,
background and
yeah.
happening, right?
yeah, for sure.
Oh,
That's
I'm
what
sure it
kinda
does.
like
I mean,
stir
that's that was. I feel like that's one of the main vehicles to drive the film is all the good music from that era. So it'd be crazy not to include that.
There's a very iconic cover to this with Kate Hudson's face with glasses on it. Remember that Almost Famous? Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very like to me. That's like, oh, that's definitely that movie.
Who's that title for, actually?
Almost Famous?
Is that for
Ooh.
the band?
Is that
Is that
for
for
the band?
I think
Or
it might.
the writer?
We've been saying
Katie?
ooh a lot, but I'm going with it. I think it's the band, or it's also him, and it's also maybe Kate Hudson, and it's maybe the mom, and it's maybe the sleazy
See,
music guy that we don't
They're
know
all,
about.
they're all almost.
See, I thought that was. I always kind of considered the title. Like, I didn't even think about it that way. I always thought of the title as like that. What's the documentary? The 50 Feet from Stardom,
yeah,
or whatever,
About
where it's
the
like
background singers?
you're close to people who are famous. So like
oh,
you're almost famous.
famous because you're.
That's
with
kind of how
famous
I always
people.
thought about it. But it totally
Yeah,
makes sense that
that-
it could also refer to like the band or him or her
yeah.
at the same time.
Or us.
Ooh.
Whoa,
We
we're
are
on
on a ride.
We're about to pass 100 million subs. What are you-
Subs.
Yeah.
and our Subway discount
On
shop
YouTube.
that we have.
I call them cribers.
I meant like Subway sandwiches. I'm getting real close. I'm almost there.
Yeah, and you get 1 million subs, you get the million first one free.
Yeah.
It's a real big punch card. It's real long.
It's like a giant binder.
So this movie is written and directed by Cameron Crowe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
who I sometimes like, sometimes hate.
High Fidelity is sweet.
He didn't do
I
that.
thought he did, didn't he?
I don't
I remember
think
who did
so.
What were some Empire?
He did Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
He did Elizabethtown.
Ugh. Ugh.
What
He's had a couple
else?
stinkers over the last
Yeah,
couple
he's had
years.
a lot of stinkers. Like, there are times where he's good, times where he's terrible. I actually can't remember any other Cameron Crowe movies.
I thought he did a lot of '80s movies with John Cusack, and that was his thing. Like, maybe he
He
did say anything.
He did say anything, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he did do say anything. Now, the other thing that I know about this movie is that actually it's based off of Cameron Crowe's life. He was a Rolling Stone
Oh, okay.
writer when he was, like, 19. And he followed Aerosmith, which is why I said Aerosmith. That's actually true. So, like, this is based on kind of his life.
Okay. Be cool. I wonder if there's some good trivia for this then.
So Rolling
Read
Stone
about that.
should sue Cameron Crowe for lying to him.
Do it
about
now.
working on it because he.
16 years in the making!
Let's get the lawsuit happening.
Get on it.
This kid is a liar and should be discredited.
And that's actually all the notes I have. ran
I
out
don't
of
even
stuff.
know.
That's pretty much-
I guess. How does the movie end? Is he?
Yeah, I think it ends like he's just sort of kind
Is
of.
it like this is what happened to these people, or is
Yeah, I think it's like a
Probably.
wrap up. Like, he writes the article, submits it, everybody reads
He's
it.
kind of burned out and goes home.
He
yeah,
goes home
then
and enjoy. I think he kind of like enjoys not being famous or not being a part of that.
Yeah,
famous
I think
lifestyle.
he kind of gets it out. Like when he goes home, he's kind of like, "Now I've done it. I'm kind of done with that, though."
So I'm guessing
Right.
like everyone like hates him, but then they read the article and like, oh no, wait.
I could
all
see
these
that. Like
times
they're
we had a
upset
really
and they
cool-
like part ways all
this
mad,
guy's
but yeah,
bad.
then they read the article and it turns out it's like a really good article.
It's a genuine article.
Ooh, the
Whoa.
genuine article.
That's good. That also could have been the name for this film.
My only other question was, how do you pronounce Billy Crudup's last name? 'Cause I-
Billy Crudup.
Crudup.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
I
sure
was-
he's fed up with people not being able to say Crudup.
I can't do it. I don't.
You sure he's crud up about that?
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh. I'm gonna crud you up.
Billy,
Got him. Got him good.
Crudup.
He needs to be in more
Crudup.
movies, though.
Does he?
So,
I love he was great in Big Fish. He was great in Watchmen.
Watchmen.
so
Some
we
other
know
films.
Billy Crudup's in it. Jason Lee is in it.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Kate Hudson.
Jimmy
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon
Jimmy
cameo.
Fallon. What's
yeah.
the girl's name again?
Frusa Bulk.
Farusa Balk. Any other actors that you can remember?
Any musician cameos?
Oh, Elton John, Ozzy Osbourne. I'm just naming musicians. Billy Joel, Phil Collins.
All prog rock.
Like John Williams.
Okay. Ooh. Are they an opening band for a bigger band, or do they have an opening band?
I feel like they have to be an opening band because I feel like
And I feel like that's the story,
I feel
right?
like part of the
Them turning
conflict
from
is
an opening
that-
band into a major band.
yeah. Well, part of it
Yeah.
is that they're trying to become like a huge thing, and that's why they want the Rolling Stone article.
right.
So there wouldn't be. So yeah, I could see them being an opening band for a bigger band. Now, did he go to the concert to write about the bigger band
Oof.
and ended up writing about them instead?
I don't think so.
No.
I think he went to write about Stillwater.
Okay.
But I think that they surpass the big band and they become the opening act, or something happens to the big band.
They definitely like. There's a sequence where they go on tour the next year. Like they're still progressing because there's like a joke where it's like
That's why it's
they're
called prog rock.
like their tour bus says like the "We Didn't Die" tour or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like it's a joke, and they're on
Yeah.
a tour bus, and they're saying like we're not not going to be on a plane anymore. So I don't know. Like I think they're still together. They're still trying to work things out. There's a falling out at one point, but
Yeah.
they're not quite where they want to be still.
Water.
Water.
Sorry. I am so sorry.
This mute is knocking these out today, Brad.
Do not apologize.
Look, say it's your wheelhouse, buddy. Own it.
Hey, I can't really think of any other like things that we would miss out on. Maybe somebody dying.
Or
Like one of the
we
band
talked about
members
almost
dies.
dying, but like
Does
an
a drummer
OD.
explode?
Ooh,
That's Spinal Tap.
Oh, okay. All right.
I feel like I'm gonna be expecting a lot of Spinal Tap stuff, and it's gonna be different. But
Right. Man, Spinal Tap's great.
Oh, Spinal Tap is so good.
Solid flick.
All right. Well, I guess is it
Yeah,
pretty much
I
everything for
can't-
now, at least until we watch it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. Does he have like a buddy, like a falling out with like a buddy or anything, or
I
is he
don't remember
just he's like
if-
or is he a total loner? For the
I feel
whole
like he's a
film?
nerdy loner
he's a
guy.
nerdy loner.
Yeah.
Is it because he becomes most best friends with Jason Lee though? Don't they have like a thing?
I don't know, I
Isn't
feel
he
like-
like the mentor
No.
character to him?
No, it's more Billy Crudup, I think.
All right,
I think so. That would be my guess.
all right.
Okay. Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching this. Did you know?
How many times?
I haven't seen this film in like
It's
a long
like it's like
time.
a reflex.
I haven't seen
You're
it.
not even conscious that you're saying these words right now.
But that's
They're just kind of falling out of your mouth.
Guys, yeah, I'm gonna say this every episode.
Ah!
We're gonna do a supercut of you saying every single one.
I'm
of
gonna.
those.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah.
If we have a fan out there that wants to do that for us, that would be even better. Because
Then it means we have a fan. That's
yeah,
step
that,
one.
That's the big part.
Step
of it.
one.
You got a big fan.
Number one fan. We still don't run ads, but I want to plug that I watched 31 horror films during the month of October, and there's going to be a video review of us discussing all of them next week, Thursday. Subscribe to our YouTube page to stay updated, and you can find the link to our YouTube page on our homepage, whatweremember.com. Thanks.
I mean, I'm telling you, you're coming along at a very dangerous time for rock and roll. I mean, the war is over. They won. 99% of what passes for rock and roll these days, silence is more compelling. And that's why I think you should just turn around, and go back, and be a lawyer or something. I can tell from your face that you won't. I can give you $35. Give me 1,000 words on Black Sabbath.
An assignment.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, welcome to part 2. We watched Spinal Tap. How'd you guys?
Spinal
Wait,
Tap?
didn't
Did
we-
you watch Spinal Tap? Because that's
Uh-oh.
not the
Did I
movie
watch the
watched.
wrong movie?
No, wait. I thought we were. I mean, we were talking about Spinal Tap so much. I thought that was the movie we were gonna.
We need to
this
watch
is-
Spinal
talk
Tap.
about.
Yeah. This is kind of like Spinal Tap in a way.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to talk about with this film, and I'm trying to figure out where to start. First of all, we wrote a better movie in our podcast than this movie ended up being.
You think
You
so?
think so?
Yes, because we added so many different kinds of stakes and elements and consequences.
Well, of
that
course
did-
we're
that-
going to.
that didn't exist in the film. There are all these things that we came up with.
Right.
So let's just start right out of the bit. Before we even talk about the film, let's just go through all like the corrections and things that we had to go with. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We said that the kid was lying about his age in order to work for Rolling Stone. That didn't need to happen.
Well,
that wasn't happening.
Well, he
Wasn't an
he
element
didn't
at all.
Tell them his age, and then I did write down that when he actually meets the Rolling Stone guys, which isn't a surprise at all. They're just like, come meet us. They show up and they're like, oh wow, you're young. All right, come in here. Let's move on.
It did not matter.
it was
Oh,
like
Yeah, it was like
2
It
seconds.
was
of
like
a
they were
thing.
like, we already paid him a ton of money. He's sending us like decent material or whatever.
yeah.
So they
That
were
really
okay.
was not a conflict, even though they played it like it was going to be.
I didn't
Yep.
realize that they just hired him over the phone.
right.
Right.
Well,
and
they had
that's-
read an article. Is that what they said?
Yeah,
his
they read
newspaper
one of his
article and
Scream
inspired
magazine
him?
Scream,
articles. Yeah.
Which is another element we didn't realize that
Then he's-
Philip Seymour
yeah.
Hoffman works for Cream magazine. I thought he
Correct.
worked for Rolling Stone.
That's what I thought too. But he's
Yeah.
just like he just acts as like a mentor.
Yeah, he only talked. He's like a few scenes over the phone, and then just like he only. I read in the trivia that he only filmed for 4 days, and he had the flu all 4 days.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, his scenes were very limited.
Very
so.
short and
yeah.
sweet. And I also, the second I saw him, I was like, is he trying to be Jack Black? And then I saw that Jack Black auditioned for the role.
I did hear about that. Yeah, like Jack Black was one of the other people in consideration for that role.
And I
I'm
felt he
sure
was-
they both would have been great.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
they both would have worked very well.
But I think that Philip Seymour Hoffman was like channeling a version of Jack Black, or maybe Jack Black saw this version of Philip Seymour Hoffman, changed his entire personality to be like this, and that's the Jack Black we know now.
Well,
I can't tell the difference.
We still have Jack Black to ask. We could ask him that.
Let's call
if
him
he's
up.
changed his whole persona just because of this scene.
right? Because
These 4 scenes.
I mean, because in High Fidelity, which came out the same year as this, which I kept talking about during the first part, he's playing kind of just a normal character, and I think that character in High Fidelity would have been better played as Philip Seymour Hoffman.
What?
So I
Really?
think they were just a little miscast.
I would have liked.
I would-
both
I would have
those
liked
roles
to
be
flip.
Jack Black.
Well, yeah, I want every role to be Jack
Yes.
Black. The guy's friends with all of the band members. There's really no conflict up until the very end of the film.
Yeah.
Right. They don't care about him at first, but then he talks them up. Like, he talks them up quite a bit, and then they're like, okay, well, he's cool. Like, we'll hang out with him. There is a conflict that they don't want to open themselves up too much because they know that he could write a bad article.
Yeah,
about
they
them.
keep referring to him as the enemy.
Yeah, that was never happening though, because he loved the band. He loved everything about what he was
Well,
doing.
it
He was
seemed
never
like-
seeking to like write.
I don't know.
bad
It
piece
felt
about
more
them.
like that he knew their music because he's just like a really good music critic, and so he knew their music and he used that to like tell them, to like get them to open up. Like he played to the idea that they would really like a fan. I wasn't sure if it was genuine or if he was like, oh, maybe if I like tell them they're good and show that I know what, like, know the band's music.
That was ambiguous.
They'll go
for
with
sure.
it.
There was no drug sequence. The tour was awesome the entire time. There was only one problem where a guy got electrocuted,
Yep.
and that was like everything else was gravy on that tour. They had no other problems.
I mean, they had
Yeah.
like the T-shirt issue and like the
That was-
Which
that
is
was-
very Spinal
that was
Tap.
all
yes,
internal.
it felt very.
We made
special.
claims that the tour was doing bad, and they
Yeah.
they weren't selling out shows,
were wrong.
which was
No,
totally
yeah, it
wrong.
was a totally successful tour. Everyone was loving it.
Everyone was having a great
Yeah.
time.
I feel like the story was not really focused on the tour. Like, the tour was just happening. It was focused on the relationships between people
Yeah.
that were participating in the tour.
I mean, there's really the only times you even really see them, like at a show is like the beginning when he meets the band, and the microphone scene, and
Yeah.
then there's like the one near the end where they're in Cleveland. I think you kind of see some of their set, but like that's it. Like the shows are not a focus in the movie at all. Everything
Just
else is at
one
the
montage
hotels or
sequence
back.
where it like goes through a few songs.
Yeah,
goes
right.
like a couple song medley of things happening. Rolling Stone was happy with the article. They had no problems with it when he turned it in. The only
Well-
issue was that he got discredited by the main frontman.
Well, he
that was
didn't
the only
like the
problem.
very first one where it was like the puff piece. They had him rewrite it, and then they liked it a lot, and then couldn't confirm it, so that was the conflict.
So there kept on being things where like conflict kept getting brought up and then immediately
they were on the
extinguished.
verge of having a real
And then they
conflict,
just took
and
it
then
away
at
from
the
them.
last second they're like, "But now it's fine."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's true. That happens like multiple times.
The
So
Rolling
there's
Stone
almost-
manager guy calls him a few times angry, but like halfway through the conversation, he ends up being nice.
There's a couple like the
Everything
mom
goes well.
gets angry a couple of times,
Yeah, but she's
then
on the
she's
same fine
okay
too.
with it too.
Twice that happens.
I did write down the mom is totally like a rookie of the year mom. She's totally cool, very supportive of him, like is letting him do this even though she's not comfortable with it. I thought she was totally pro.
Yeah, there was a moment where she denies the daughter from listening to rock music, but she never really explicitly tells him not to.
Yeah.
Which we thought happened in the movie. which,
And she
yeah,
lets him
we
go
were
to the
wrong.
concert.
She
lets
drives him to the
Yeah,
concert.
like
she encourages it to happen.
yeah.
It was
so-
as if like she didn't want her daughter to do anything, but then like her son, she was like, "Okay, you can do all these things that I don't approve of."
Yeah, once the daughter ran away, who was Zoe Deschanel, who we
Wait,
didn't-
I can't
we
believe I
know.
didn't remember that.
Yeah, she runs off to become a stewardess, like when she's 18, and then I guess the mom becomes a little more lenient towards the kid.
Yeah, I'm wondering,
Yeah.
like, it could just be like she doesn't want to risk him going away too or something, so she's a little more lenient with him.
Yeah, it was like it's kind of like a baby child syndrome. It's like
Yeah.
you will baby them and you'll be okay with them doing a few things that you didn't let your first child do.
Yeah.
We also missed that that's Frances McDormand,
Yeah.
who's the
Yes.
mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got a list of the cameos we just totally just did not get at all.
Me too. Like, there was a lot of cameos I didn't remember. Like,
Let me quickly just run through them. Frances McDermott, Zoe Deschanel, Rainn Wilson, Eric Stonestreet, Mark Maron, Mitch Hedberg, Nick Swardson, Kyle Gass, Jay Burchell,
Which he was
Baruchel,
awesome.
he was. Jay Baruchel was really
and
good.
then Bayou Phillips and Anna Paquin.
Yeah.
Those are all giant names that we just
Yeah, I didn't.
went
I
under
didn't
the
even
radar.
notice half of those. I only had some of them written down as I was seeing them. But even the ones that I saw, I was like, "What? Like that?"
Yeah,
This
like I think
rolling
Rainn Wilson
here?
was the one that first like really upset me. I was like,
Right.
oh, he's just playing.
He's a cartoon character.
Well, he's playing that writer
Hunter
S. Thompson.
Thompson. Yeah.
What? He
He's
was?
He's
Yeah.
a Hunter S. Thompson outfit essentially.
Yeah, he's basically.
It's
yeah.
not that person, but he's like
Oh.
he's
like
channeling.
a, yeah,
that
he's
person.
like a.
Oh my god,
representation
that
of
makes so
Hunter
much
S.
more
Thompson.
sense. I was looking at it like, what is going on with this character? Like, what is he choosing to? He was just like a goofy guy.
Yeah.
I liked him, but like all of his line deliveries were so weird.
Okay, so I think that was like my big problems with what we were saying. I think we kept adding elements of excitement that just did not happen in the film.
that easily could have been in this film, and I feel like they kind of missed an
Yeah.
opportunity. I will
Things
say,
kept
I
getting-
love the movie, but I did feel like they could have had more.
Things kept getting like undercut when the girl, Kate Hudson, is going for the drug overdose.
Yeah.
She immediately gets rescued and picked up and fine. She's fine. And then earlier so the lead singer guy is married, and he doesn't want the kid to find out that he doesn't want the kid to write an article saying that Kate Hudson was on the tour with him because he doesn't want to get caught with his wife.
Yes.
Right.
So she gets kicked off the tour, and there's a moment where they're in a field, and the main kid is telling him that, and the girl Kate Hudson is just fine with it. And she
Well,
kind of
she's-
undercuts all of the
Yeah,
the
she was
build-up to
like,
the
I knew
danger
that was going to happen
of that
the
being
whole
happening.
time.
It's like, oh, okay, so I guess all the stakes that we just made were
Well, she
for
wasn't
nothing.
fine with it though.
She ultimately ended up being fine in that scene because she made a joke even about
in that scene,
about
yes,
it.
but I think it also could have been putting up like a strong facade. Like she's like, look, that's just the life, even though inside it hurts.
Maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought she did the drug overdose after that scene.
She did after she saw
Okay.
the wife in person.
Yeah, after they were
Okay.
at the bar, because that's right before they go to New York is when they talk in the field.
Yeah, I think that I thought her character arc kind of was like, she knew that he was seeing someone else and it was just a thing, but she thought that she could win him over eventually.
Yes, that's what I got too. Is that she knew this was going on, but she was like, at first she was just sort of like, look, this is just what we do, and then like when she became attached, she was like, well, I think he still really loves me deep down, and then kind of found out or kind of felt like he didn't after the New York thing.
Yeah, the wife just showed up.
Yeah.
and he was like, nope, don't talk to me.
We didn't even get any bit of the wife or the fiance at
Yeah,
all.
we didn't. She showed up in like
She was,
the last
she was only
quarter of
there
the
for
film.
like 10 minutes of this film.
Yeah, and it's also another piece of stakes gets undercut because we found out that Jason Lee had slept with that girl too.
Yeah, the wife.
So there's
yeah,
like
the
even
fiancé,
so there's even like
girlfriend.
less investment in her being jealous because she did the same thing to him.
It's almost funny too because it's like a big reveal in that scene. Like everybody's revealing something, and then like you get no real release or no like conflict at all. It's just like everyone just speaks their mind when that plane is going down, and then it doesn't go down, and everyone's just like, "All right, I guess we'll just keep going on as a band."
And there was a few moments. There was the funniest moment in the film is when like the cockpit accidentally opens and like the pilots are praying. And like
Yes.
and they shut the door real quick. Just
That
so,
whole
like,
scene I thought was a really funny
Yeah.
scene. It worked really well. But and of course like the drummer doing the I'm gay, and then immediately the plane is fine, and he's like, oh god.
Oh jeez,
Yeah.
now everyone knows I like dudes, which is not a big deal at all now.
Maybe it was a big deal in '73.
I thought they were gonna be like, I know. That's what I thought they were gonna
Yeah, that's what I would have.
That
I
didn't
kind of
happen.
expected that too.
It's like, oh, you guys already knew? Oh, jeez. Okay, so before we start at the beginning, and just go through the film, is there anything you want to that we thought we got really wrong or bad, or we
I spent
totally forgot?
no, nothing really that like we got like majorly wrong.
Okay.
I know
I-
at the end we were trying to figure out like if he comes home, he goes to his sister when he comes back, but they just ran into each other, and he convinces her to come home with him.
Yeah, let's talk about the ending
So-
at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ADR in this film that gets just thrown in there. There's a thing about her being 18 that Frances McDormand says to like justify why
Yeah.
she's okay with Zooey Deschanel leaving. That's like an ADR line that just got
Okay.
thrown in there. Another line was we don't have intercourse when the roadies are like talking. There's just like they just give BJ's, I guess that was their line. But there was an ADR line about that.
I didn't notice
And
this at all.
and there was an ADR line of her relationship with Russell being like expositioned on the bus, which I thought were like moments that maybe a producer or somebody just kind of like said, "Oh, we kind of need to add these things to the film,
Sure.
just
Yeah.
to like get to not be
I didn't,
weird or
I did not
creepy."
even notice any of those.
Yeah.
And usually they jump right out at me.
When I watch movies you watch movies with headphones too, but you can tell like the differences when the dialogue is like totally different
Right,
in the film.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
and when you're not seeing the person saying the line.
Right.
Philip Seymour Jack Black impersonator. Industry of Cool was a thing that he wrote in a book. I don't know what that meant, but Philip
I
Seymour
had
Hoffman
no idea
told him,
either. So industry of cool.
Well, for his, what you mean talking about Philip Seymour Hoffman
Yeah.
saying that? His point was that at that point, rock and roll was less about music and like creating amazing music, and more about just being a rock star. and like
Yeah.
the whole lifestyle of being a rock star was more important than the actual music being produced.
I was really hoping that the stuff that Philip Seymour Hoffman was like saying was foreshadow, but it didn't really end up being foreshadowing.
Yeah, at first-
because everything kind of just works out in the end anyway.
Right, well, and I wasn't sure, like, when the movie starts, I wasn't entirely sure where, like, what year it was. They probably even threw it up on the screen.
It was
I just-
1973.
Right, and I figured that out, but when he first talks to Philip Seymour Hoffman, he's like, you're coming in at, like, right when Rock's dying. I was
Yeah.
like, what is this, like 80, like 79, 80 or something? Like, I was trying to figure out what time it was, because
Yeah.
I was like, I guess that, but then I found out it was, like, 73, 74, and I was like, no. That's,
Yeah, it was like
that's
way
not
wrong.
the case at all.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is set up. He's like DJing an early morning show, and he wants to play Iggy Pop, and like the girl who's from like NCIS. I don't know what her name is.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to play it, and he ends up doing it anyway. So I guess like in his mind, not wanting to listen to rock and roll means not wanting to listen to music at 9 a.m. Like
Yeah.
that's like the bad thing.
And
I
also,
don't
if you're
know.
saying that like Rock is dying, like Iggy Pop is like the most relevant in '73. Like he's starting to do solo stuff away from the Stooges. So
Yeah,
it's
well,
like,
I think that's what that was kind of
What
the
is
point of
he
that shot
talking
is that
about?
like that's a new thing, and she was like, it's a little early for like experimental Iggy Pop kind of solo music, and he was like,
Yeah.
I don't care, it's good music, and played it anyway because he's like
Okay.
just a rock critic.
The band is from Troy, Michigan.
Yeah,
what
which
were
was kinda
up
neat.
with
all the-
I
all the
spent
Detroit
so much time.
references.
For those who don't know, we live maybe like, or we're actually filming this podcast maybe 10 miles away from Troy.
Yeah, I was like,
Michigan.
because the band's from Troy, Michigan. Jimmy Fallon's
Hate a
character
guy
talks
from
about
Dearborn, which is
and
my
he's from
hometown.
Dearborn. Yep.
You're from Dearborn.
Yep.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's wearing a Detroit Sucks T-shirt
Yep.
at a couple spots in the movie.
And I also thought if you would wear that shirt in Detroit, you would get like beaten up or like destroyed.
That's true.
There's
Yeah.
no way like that shirt would fly.
No.
Like
I spent like a little bit of time like trying to figure out why there were so many references to Michigan.
A lot of Michigan
and I
references.
found nothing.
well, I have to imagine that he was born in near Michigan or something like
Who,
that. Wasn't-
Cameron Crowe?
Yeah, wasn't there a director who I'm thinking of who was born in a like
Cameron
Detroit
Crowe.
or
I looked
somewhere?
up Cameron Crowe. He was born in California. I don't know if he grew up in Michigan at some point, but yeah, I didn't understand.
And I wouldn't know why
the
Jimmy
references.
Fallon would have had to have hit that person in somewhere where the band is near. I thought that could have just been any location. Like that would have been just a funny city to say, but he specifically says Dearborn. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Their song is bad. Their song
Well,
is bad.
yes.
Yeah, it was threw up your water. I thought Ozzy Osbourne made a cameo in this film, and I was sort of right because they opened for Black Sabbath
Yes, in the very first
in the
concert.
very opening concert.
Yeah, I don't know if we saw it, but I'm gonna have to go back and say you're right. This song is bad.
It's really bad.
It's not good. It's
It's not even like specifically 70s. It has no like 70s vibe to it.
The music for the band was written by Peter Townsend.
I just like that it
Ugh.
was very clear that it was not Jason Lee singing that
Yes.
music.
And we all tried to pick a band that was inspired by it. You said Aerosmith, I said the Eagles, and you said something else. It ended up being the Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
I forget what you said.
It was the Allman Brothers that they were
Yes.
inspired by?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, the idea of the tour and all that stuff, I think, was
What,
inspired specifically.
Like
but-
what?
And I forgot to look up when Aerosmith released their first album, so I'll have to check that maybe sometime.
Okay.
during
I
the
think I said
podcast.
Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some Allman Brothers songs? Do you guys know any?
No, my dad probably does for sure.
I mean, I do. I couldn't think of them right now, though. But
Okay.
maybe I had one of their albums growing up. My dad listened to them a lot.
I guess if you listen to that Fever Dog song and maybe listen to an Allman Brothers song and see if you can compare the two.
It's beautiful.
It's not good.
So this movie kind of felt... I had this written down halfway through the film, and I was already kind of feeling what it was. If you could rewrite a pivotal moment in your life to turn out better. That's what this felt like, because everything kind of fell into this kid's lap. Kate
Yeah.
Hudson was already like flirting with him and trying to get him backstage into the concert. He was already trying to get like the Rolling Stone thing. That came easy to him. It's basically if you could write your own version of your life and make all the good things happen to it. That's what I felt was happening in this
I
film.
guess I could see that.
Which might be totally true because this is based on Cameron Crowe, and I think he followed a band
This is what I'm saying.
for Rolling Stone.
I think
so it is. Yeah,
You think it's
you're
like
right.
him kind of whitewashing
him
his...
whitewashing his own
his own
history.
history,
That's
yeah.
what I felt.
Okay.
So Aerosmith's first album did come out in 1973. The song is Dream On. I don't know what the album... Toys in the Attic is 1975, so... I don't know. They were just a little bit late, I think.
Okay.
But you were... I didn't even know they were the 70s band.
Oh, for sure.
And I was just wondering if you could rewrite a moment in your life to make all the good things happen to it where something could have went wrong. What would you... Is there anything you would change or do?
Deep, Brad. That's deep.
So I'll put that out there. Maybe you can think of it by the end of the podcast. We'll circle back around. He doesn't use... so Frances McDormand is really pushing him not to do drugs. She said that several times during the movie. Why doesn't she educate her son about what drugs are, what the repercussions are, so he's aware of it? He's going to be in this environment. They're going to be around, and rather than just educate him... She's a teacher, which we didn't even know in later in the film.
Yeah,
But
professor.
she could have explained a little bit more about what the heck was going on.
This is another funny moment where there could be conflict, but there was never conflict. So you guys are right. Like
There's so many
teaching him-
instances of
She's
this.
telling him like, don't do drugs, don't do drugs. He never even had an inkling of like a thought of wanting to do drugs.
It was never even like a major temptation for him in the movie. Like, there's never a scene where someone's really pressuring him to do drugs. Like, it comes up a couple of times, but it just sort of passes, and then they're like, then nothing happens about it.
Yeah, and
It ended up just being like a running gag for the mom to say.
right, and it was just like a way of like her being there constantly, like picking at him over the phone, but it never was an issue. He didn't want to do drugs.
No, I did appreciate the some we didn't pick up in the first part, but when the mom talks to Billy's character,
Billy Crudup.
yeah, talks to him and basically like tells him like he still has a chance to be someone of substance, and it like really affects him. Like,
Yeah.
It changes
he's
his
like,
whole life.
wow, like just that 1 second, he's like, wow.
There's a moment where
That
like
was really good.
Faroosa Balk talks to Frances McDormand too, and she kind of does the same kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
where she's like, "I don't even talk to my parents this much as I'm talking to you."
Yeah.
So she seems like she's just doing a great job, and she's just
Yeah.
a big time warrior because Zoe
Yeah.
Deschanel left, and
She worries
No, she's,
too
like,
much.
panicking.
And also, like, I felt like the main character, either, number one, she's talked to her son about drugs, like, nonstop or whatever, about, all the terrible things in the world that he could be doing. And he's, like, too smart. Like, he doesn't want to do that. Like, he doesn't want to do drugs. He knows exactly what he wants in life, and he's going for it. Like,
I think part of like the thing over the course of the movie is the mom really does kind of come to accept that her son knows what he's doing.
right.
And she's just she was in the beginning
there
she
was,
was
like-
just worrying about him all the time.
There was never a moment where she
But-
would have doubted
there was
he
no
knew what he
reason
was
for
doing.
it.
Yes.
He didn't answer the phone high at any point.
Nope.
There wasn't anything like, "Hey, come hit this, William." It's like,
Yeah,
none of
I
that
mean,
stuff
occasionally
happened.
they had some crazy stuff going on in the background of the phone calls, but even then it wasn't that bad to where it was like, oh man, I definitely think he's in a drug den right now, or something like that.
Exactly.
So it was another conflict avoided kind of thing.
Yeah, that happened. It's just everything gets undercut.
Man,
sorry to break.
I
I'm sorry to break that
Brad,
bubble to you guys.
I love this movie, and now you're making me hate
Yeah,
it.
I'm
Why
starting
do you do
I'm
this?
starting to not be sure about it.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to tell you
Brad.
that the writing is just not what it should be.
Brad, what did you do to this movie?
You're showing me I was just seduced by an amazing soundtrack, and now I don't know what's left and right and up and down.
And I haven't said yet, but there are seven music montages in the film, which are
Okay.
all about 2 minutes long. The movie's like 2 hours and 3 minutes, and half hours montages. Pretty good, pretty par for the course.
yeah.
Kate Hudson is definitely banging that lead singer guy.
Jason Lee?
Nope, the
The
guitarist
guitarist,
guy,
yeah.
Okay.
the main
Billy.
guy.
Oh yeah, for sure she's banging him.
Yeah.
They've been banging for a while.
It just been
Yes.
banging it up. I thought we had made a comment that she had been like reserved or whatever, and they even do make. I guess the roadies themselves tell them that they don't do that anymore, but they're totally doing that.
So whoever's listening to this podcast and just heard the first half is like, well, how do they not remember what they said in the first half?
Because it's been a minute. I listened to it on right before we did this, and I'm still.
I rely on
Anyway.
Brad to
Yeah,
re-listen
I
to the first half.
the Mark Maron cameo. He's got some sweet pants on. If you guys go back and look at it,
Who was he?
He was the manager of the stadium that they ended up
Oh, where they
getting
got
electrocuted.
electrocuted.
on
That's
and
right.
Yes, he walked out of.
and they bust out the gate.
And they lock the gates.
What was up with that scene? What was up
Okay.
with that scene?
Let me just say
I
some
wrote
things.
down, what was that cartoon chase scene about?
Billy Crudup gets electrocuted, so the band ends up wanting to leave the venue.
Yeah, they
Mark
just, like,
Maron
leave.
comes all piss and vinegar, running out of the stadium, saying, "You got to go put this concert on." It's like, we're not going to do it. Our guy got electrocuted. It's like, I've spent a lot of money. These people are waiting for it. So Mark Maron's screaming, "Lock the gates," which is his intro to the WGF podcast, which I didn't know until now, like, where that was from. And
He
I finally
is
get it.
driving a little buggy and he's yelling, "Hey, close the gates!"
Lock the gates. So the bus, in like several shots, is just moving along, and we can hear Mark Maron's voice clear as day as he's right next to a microphone saying this in the studio somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Lock the gates. They didn't,
I
didn't
was
make
like,
any sense to me.
I didn't want this scene to happen, but it made me laugh a lot because it was so silly. It made no sense. And then they were like, when they busted through the fence, they were like, "Yay, we did it!" And I was like,
What did
this
you
is
do?
bad.
You broke the fence? It was, like, you needed an exciting moment in the film of, like, this to happen?
It was so lame. I wrote that down. I was like, "What's up with that cartoon chase?" But then I forgot what the cartoon chase was until you just reminded me.
Yeah.
So bad.
All right, so here's a good tip. If you are the manager of a band, look at the proof of the T-shirt before you open it in front of the band, because maybe there's something on there that's not right.
Yes. The same thing happens in Spinal Tap too. It's like they're releasing this new album, and I don't remember what the album is.
I thought the
think it's
cover is,
Smell
like,
the Glove.
explicit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the album's supposed to be Smell the Glove, and then the cover is just black. It's just black. And so they're like trying to like be okay with it, but they're not. It's like the same thing that happens
Yeah.
in Spinal Tap.
So this scene is pretty interesting. So Billy Crudup is the only one that's emphasized on the shirt. Everyone else is out of focus.
Yes.
And Billy Crudup even immediately
There was
begins
two,
to tell you what the scene is going to be about, because he already comes up to Jason Lee and says, "Oh, you're just going to use this T-shirt as a way to talk about how I'm the
It was
getting all the
way
attention."
too
And it's like,
on
yeah,
the
well,
nose.
and then that scene
It
happens.
was a little too much exposition of just explaining what is supposed to be happening very directly.
Also, like, how do they print those T-shirts? They just printed them all to look that way, and then that was an actual problem for the band before
Well, I
the
wonder
T-shirts.
if like the photo they sent in was just bad or something. No one caught it, but you're right. A manager should have gotten a proof copy. They should have double checked this stuff.
Come on,
There's
this
a
is
failure at multiple points in this
yeah,
chain.
this is stuff that
They
Custom Ink would do.
clearly needed Jimmy Fallon to come in and take over that band because their manager was not cutting it.
But Jimmy Fallon ends up quitting on the plane, right? Because we never see him
Yes.
again.
Yes, and that confused me too because I feel like that was the only thing negative that happened while he was managing that band was that plane flight. And I was like, all of a sudden, like he acted like this was the last straw in a string of horrible things they've done
He'd
to
been
him.
with the band for like two
And I was like, you've been here for like a hot minute, and like everything's been fine so far.
Yeah.
Like you were like, I have a plane. And they get on the plane, and then they have a crisis.
Also, he was like, "I'm coming in to manage you guys," but then their other manager was still there too. So
he's
he's
like your
two
manager
managers.
needs a manager.
Yeah, I didn't understand why. I thought he was going to be
Maybe
like
that's
a,
a thing.
a publicist or something like that.
Right.
Just didn't have to like sort of a story, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, boy.
We didn't talk about the fact that the kid has like a foursome,
Oh yeah, that's about to come up.
and that
So he
Let's
bangs,
get to
he
it.
bangs Anna Paquin, Farousa Balk, and another crazy lady who shows up, who should have been Baggy Phillips, who just stopped being in the movie. It was this other
Yes.
lady that came out. She was Beth from Denver, and I looked it up. Her name was Olivia Rosewood. She hasn't done anything else, but they end up just like dancing around him.
So you
and-
guys think that they
Bang.
actually?
Oh, yeah.
like,
Oh,
had
yeah.
I mean,
sex?
Farousa's
Oh,
going
yeah.
downtown when they fade
Do
out.
you want Farousa to go downtown though?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna
Sure.
say no.
Yes. if it's the year 2000, Farousa, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm a dude with two other girls. I mean, I got these other two girls.
What are you gonna? Are you
I'm
gonna say
be
no?
great.
Are you gonna
Yeah.
raise
I
that
mean-
point at that moment? Because I would have been like,
Okay,
no,
I'm
gonna go
not.
with this.
I'm not saying no, but I'm more partial to Anna Paquin and seeing what's going on there.
I'm not, I mean, I
You
wouldn't
get all
disagree. But
I
you
know,
get
but
them all.
like you know,
three.
you gotta spend time.
You can't, you're gonna make an awkward
Wisely.
moment. You're gonna ruin the moment. You can't do that. You just gotta go with it, Andy. You just gotta go with it.
There are a lot of just overall. The movie I think was like so melodramatic. At
They were
points.
very heavy-handed with a couple things. I blame Brad.
Okay, right
for
before
ruining all of this.
right before this scene, there's a moment where he says, I need to go home, and Kate Hudson just whispers into his ear, "You are home." And I was like, oh my god, I just want to throw up in my mouth.
Yeah, it's like a
bad writing.
It's like a 15-year-old wrote it.
Just even little jokes like like when they're in the car later and like talking to the journalist kid and they're like, "Hey, we did everything but get you laid." Like the
And then
band didn't think
and
he
it happened.
possibly had gotten laid at some point on this tour, and then they're like, "What, you did?"
Oh, go.
And I'm like, what was that? Or like lampshading when Jimmy Fallon's lampshading like the Rolling Stones when he's like, "You think Mick Jagger's still gonna be doing this in 50 years?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, this
Yeah,
was
that
like in what,
happened.
2000? I
Yeah,
was
for
like,
sure.
it had already been 50 years, so that was clearly an intentional joke.
How many STDs did he get banging all three of those ladies, though?
You know,
in the 1970s?
I think they're clean.
Gonorrhea, the
don't
clap
know.
was out there. He
Yeah,
probably
but I
got
don't think
something.
that, were the STDs like really out and about so big?
I mean, it's,
I mean, they're probably like hanging out inside.
it seems like they were banging all the band members and they all seemed fine. So, it was probably all right.
I mean, caring is sharing, so or sharing is caring.
It
What
could
is
be both.
Okay, wait. Since we're talking about melodramatic moments, I also was really unhappy with the scene where Anna Paquin and the main character were talking in that like big group room. Where,
Yeah, and they were setting up the scene.
Where
telling
he's
you what
like,
was happening in the
act,
scene.
act 1, she likes him. And I was like, what is going on here? And Anna Paquin was dressed like she was 10 years old.
Yep.
She looked awful.
Oh. Well, this movie's ruined everyone.
Yeah, I think I don't like this movie.
So this guy can't get an interview for he can't get Billy Crudup to sit in a room for 20 minutes to have an interview.
Yes.
He keeps getting interrupted.
That is,
it's
like,
been
the
like
main-
2 months on
Of all the
tour.
potential conflicts they introduced in this film, that's the one they decided to have to be the real conflict, and it's the worst one they
Yeah.
could have chosen, I feel like.
Yeah, that is the problem, basically.
That is
of the movie.
the
Yeah.
only problem that proceeds through the whole movie. Everything
that William
else is
can't get a
like,
20-minute
oh,
interview.
it's almost a problem, but now it's resolved. And the whole point is that he just cannot get an interview with Billy's character.
Yeah, and it's just not interesting.
And I was like, is his interview really that important to everything in this?
I
Like,
don't think it is. I think
I
he has
really
enough to
don't
go
think it
on
was.
to
Yeah,
write,
you'd think
to write
so.
something.
Yeah.
Or he's had enough personal conversations to just do whatever he wants.
But it makes it more meaningful at the end when he gets his interview.
I guess. Does it, though? So, wait, I need to talk about the end. We'll get there. Just want to keep going through a few more facts. Jay Baruchel shows up. I think it's his first role. He's just a little kid. We thought that William didn't have any friends, but he seemed like this guy was his friend. Like he
He's-
knew him from high school or
That
something.
guy, he's
Well, it
like
seemed
kind
like
of
he didn't
he's
know
like a
him.
roadie. I
Yeah,
think.
he didn't
Who's the
really
fellow
meet him
roadie
until he
type?
went to
Yeah.
the hotel the very first time with Penny.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think
That's what
Jay,
because Jay
he just,
introduces
like,
him as
Jay-
like the diehard fan of
Got
it.
whichever band I don't remember.
Okay.
I think it was Rolling Stones.
Okay. Yeah, he was just like a roadie fan.
Yeah, he's
He
like
wasn't
just a
the
mega
main
fan that's following the
characters.
band on tour.
What was the main character's name?
William
William?
Miller, I think.
Yeah, it's William.
Okay.
His article doesn't seem all that good when they're going through when he finally turns it in and they're reading a few lines from it. It's like the
Yeah.
most generic
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah, it
of a-
felt very much like a
But they were
15-year-old writing a news article.
But they were reacting
type
to it
of
like
a-
it was like the golden
Oh,
word.
man, I
but-
was like-
Exactly. I thought the same thing. I was
Yep,
like,
I totally
oh, that's
agree.
bad. And they were like, wow. And I was like, no.
Oh.
that is just like
It sounds
very,
like a kid sat down with a thesaurus and came up with a crazy
or just read
like,
another
story.
news article and copied
Yeah.
it verbatim and put it in his article.
Like just every sentence has to contain at least 2 metaphors, and
All that said, I kind of started to like Ben, the Rolling Stone guy in the
Yeah.
film. I kind of started to like him. I thought he was a little underutilized. and he was-
I
he
would have
was
seen
good.
more of him. I would have.
I started to love Ben at the
Yeah.
end of the film.
I could buy that. I would have. He seemed like an interesting character that we didn't get enough of.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
would agree.
I thought
Especially when he was telling him to keep it together. He knew that this guy had been sleeping with some other roadies. He's like, keep it together, man.
That was
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
so. Why couldn't did they make that character Philip Seymour Hoffman and then split him into 2 parts? Is that what happened? Is that because they couldn't have enough dates?
Yeah,
It
or
felt
like
he
when they
needed
found
2
out that
mentors,
Philip
kind
Seymour
of?
Hoffman can only be there for 3 days of shooting or something, they were like, "Crap,
Yeah.
let's make a new character."
Yeah,
Because they seem
I
like they could
almost
have
feel
served
like
the same
Philip
purpose.
Seymour Hoffman could have just not been in it.
I
He
feel
was
like-
kind of his way in, I guess, to Rolling Stone.
I
But that was
liked his
it.
character. I like that he mentors the kid through some stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like he just exists to kind of ground the character, like to ground the kid.
And he keeps foreshadowing like bad things are going to happen, but none of the bad things he says like really ever happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of a curious thing, like if they could have just combined those characters, or...
All right, before we get to the ending, I just got to say Zoe Deschanel's acting is really bad. She's a really bad actress. It was making
Her
me really
acting is
sad.
always the same.
It was making me upset. I felt like she was looking off camera a couple times, and it just was not great.
Maybe she was still working on it. I mean, this is like young, like early in her career.
Her and
She's
Kate
pretty
Hudson
young.
felt like they were just saying lines instead of acting lines. There
I
was just
didn't
a few
realize
moments there.
that Kate Hudson was so young in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think when
Crazy.
I remember watching it, I was like, oh, she's like got to be like in her 30s or
now,
something
do you think
like
there's
that.
anyone else you would have chosen to play Kate Hudson?
There was a list of like 50 people.
Yes, I
on
did see the list of
IMDb.
who they
Apparently,
considered.
if you were a 20-something-year-old actress in the 2000s, you were up for this part.
I saw
or you
Christina Ricci was.
I did
up
see
You
there.
can
that.
name any of them. I think like
Probably like Kirsten
yeah.
Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. She was on
She
there.
was on that
I
list.
saw,
Yeah.
okay.
I saw Lark Voorhees on there, and I was like, "What is she even relevant?" Then?
Jason?
No, Lark Voorhees.
Oh, okay.
I think
Who's
she's
that?
I think she's the friend in Blossom, isn't she?
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It is pretty much everyone that was like in their 20s.
If you want
at
to
that
pull up
time.
the list, we can read through it. But there are like 50 female actresses.
I will say I was
that were
reading through
up
that
for
list,
this
and
role.
the only one that I thought I would see like playing this role was, I think they said Winona Ryder was on that list, and I was like, that's the only one I think I could
She
see
would've been
playing that
Kirsten
role.
Kirsten Dunst would have
And I
been
think she'd
okay.
been- I think Kirsten
Winona
Dunst would have
Ryder
okay.
fine.
Natalie Portman was on the list, and I thought that would
She
have
was
been
a
kind
little
of
too
weird.
young. For
Yeah.
that. So yeah, there was a moment where like Kate Hudson's like dancing in like a empty auditorium, which is like kind of just shoved in there.
I will say, out of
Going on with
everybody,
the
I
character.
felt like Kate Hudson was the best in this movie. Like, I thought
Oh,
her
no.
I swear, I thought her acting was really good. And I liked her in a lot of scenes.
I
That
don't
makes-
know.
That I do not agree.
I think it could have been better. I didn't think it was bad by any means, but I thought
for how much hype she got too when this movie came out of her being so good, I was expecting a little bit more of this when I was rewatching it from her.
Yeah. I really liked her. But I could not stand Jason Lee's acting.
Really, I thought he was pretty good.
He was very Jason Lee. In
He
the
was very Jason.
He was very
Lee, but-
Jason Lee. It was like times when he was like angry, he was borderline like ready to laugh and like smiling, and then he was just shouting everything.
And there were some moments where he was like playing like the dumb guy in the movie, like he didn't get on the tour bus in time, and just like things just like weren't working out for him.
I think that was
for
just
no
supposed to be
reason.
a goof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was some like goofs that were.
It was like a
Just
dumb
all
goof.
goofed through way, yeah. Like I said, all the
Goofs.
goofs are very heavy-handed in this film. Like,
Yeah, it was
seemed-
not. It was just a dumb goof.
No,
All right, let's get right to the ending.
Okay.
Do you get to get to those ladies? before we
There's
go to it?
a lot of them here. Like
there's 30.
Brittany Murphy, Anne Heche,
Mina
Let's
Savari,
see.
Neve Campbell, Jenna Elfman,
Maggie Gyllenhaal, and
Bridget
Rose McGowan,
Moynihan, Rose McGowan, Chloe Sevigny, Lara Flynn Boyle,
Allison Hannigan, Angie Harmon. Oh my gosh,
Katherine Heigl. I feel like these people just added this on their own to IMDb.
I have to believe they were like,
Marley
these are people I
Shelton.
wish had been in this.
Rebecca Romaine.
Because they have like two separate listings for all the actresses. Because they also mentions Kirsten Dunst.
Click Lark Voorhees' his name. I'm pretty sure she's the girl from Blossom. Nope, that's from Saved by the Bell. That's
Yeah. Okay.
Lisa from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
Which I don't.
All right, let's get to the end.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So
let's talk about it.
the big conflict happens. He turns in his article. They love it. It's the greatest thing ever written. There's no conflict at all. We're publishing
Well,
this
like I said,
article.
okay, I don't know.
That's what
Maybe
you wanted to talk
maybe they
about.
were just trying to maybe they were just trying to impart that Rolling Stone is just cool with everything
Yeah.
because
They really wanted to
'cause,
publish this article.
that
Where it's
totally
the
flows.
cover.
That
It's gonna
totally
happen.
flows with it when he shows up and they're like, "Wow, you're just a kid. All right, let's get in here and talk about your article." Like, not a problem at all.
We thought that he was going to lie to people. He was going to
Yep.
lie to the band to tell them they made the cover. But no, the
No,
Rolling
they-
Stone just gave him the cover.
Well, they
That was
also-
going to happen.
They only show him talking to like Rolling Stone on the phone a couple times. They never show him actually doing writing. They never show him sending any writing to them. And yet, like halfway through the tour, they're like, "It's the cover," and I'm like, "Have you gotten anything from this kid indicating this should be the cover?"
Yeah, they got
And you-
nothing.
Yeah, I was like, was it just a really dry month of like Rolling Stone? They're like, we got nothing else. Oh my god.
So in my dumb anticipation that things were going to turn around, there's a moment where he puts a book like outside. He's like, I'm assuming it's his book of what he's been writing,
Mm-hmm.
like on top of a thing outside before he goes in to see Kate Hudson. And I thought, oh, he's gonna lose the article and he's not gonna have any information. No.
No,
That
people
doesn't
don't
happen.
steal things.
He doesn't lose lose things and they don't get stolen. Everything is okay.
Part of me was like, when I was watching the movie, I was like, they're probably like in for a couple $1,000s into this kid. They probably are just going to accept anything that he writes.
Right. And that kind of was like at the end, they're like, we spent a lot of money on
Yeah,
this.
they
Like,
go through
what's
his like
going on?
hotel bills and things like that. It's like, oh, we.
Like $600 in expenses,
Yeah.
which I guess in the 70s is probably a lot.
Yeah, and they really just should not have given this kid the article. They should not.
I didn't even know he was a kid.
I don't even know.
They did
what
not
they
do their research.
Oh my god.
I mean, they do express, like, they do establish very early that he's a very good writer, because that's what Philip Seymour Hoffman's like. Okay, you write like really good stuff and you get it, but at the same time, I feel like they should have done more research into him.
So Billy Crudup, before William leaves to go write the article, says, "Go ahead, write whatever you want." Then he writes the article. They call him. He's like, "Oh, you can't publish the article." It's like you just told the kid that he
was
can
weird
publish
because
whatever
like
he wanted.
that's when he stands in the airport and says, "Write whatever you want." Like that's when he's like, "I've accepted that we're a crazy dysfunctional
and
band."
This is the resolution of
And,
the film.
and then they're like, "Well, we need one more 10-second conflict in this movie." And they're like, "They didn't approve any of this." And then he shows up at the house. He's like, "I called him and said it was fine."
Oh, okay. So wait. What happened now?
It's like,
It was
oh,
very
boy.
last minute.
So they're gonna cancel the article and run a new front page thing. So is the one that ends up being at the end of the film, because he ends up does getting on the front page, is that the same month that one was going to come out, or is that like the next
Yeah, it seemed
month's
like a
one?
decent amount of time passed from
This is what I'm saying.
From when Billy calls Penny Lane and she gives him the kid's address instead of
Yeah.
hers. It did seem like a decent amount of time had passed between them, so they just sat on this article or something and didn't do anything with it.
But they were giving him deadlines. It seemed like this article was like crunch time. It's gonna
or
come
that
out.
they were like
And that doesn't
promoting it or
happen.
something like,
Yeah.
oh, big exclusive coming out this month on Stillwater, and then I guess ran some other story. Well, we've already seen how flexible they are in changing their cover stories, and they're like, "You got the cover. We haven't read anything." Oh boy.
Can we also just briefly
Okay.
talk
we
about...
can talk about it a lot.
Yeah, let's
just
do
go.
it.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
I've
What was
accepted
up
that
with-
this is no longer a good movie.
Yeah, I
I've
think
come
so
to terms
too.
with it.
I think I have to.
It broke the bubble.
Over the course of this podcast, yeah, it's not a good
my
movie.
gosh.
Oh,
I came in
man.
ready to talk about how much I loved this movie and it was great, and now let's talk about all the flaws.
I don't mean to be that guy who just like breaks the bubble, but they're just the story structure
Yeah, you're
did not
right.
exist in this film.
Part of me was like bothered with like the opening credits being on like a digital camera. Did you guys see
Yeah,
that? Like,
I don't
it
know
was-
what that was
Oh,
about.
I didn't know. I
never
mean,
played into it later. Like if you would have had the camera on tour, I was like, oh, that would have been neat. Nice little callback.
Did you watch the opening credits at all?
Yeah, yeah. And I know you have the handwriting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
The quality of it was.
I didn't think about it. I just
poor.
assumed it was like, oh, older camera because they're establishing that it takes place in like the 70s.
No, this was definitely
but
like a modern camera that
Okay.
you can get from like Best Buy in 2000. Is what they shot it on.
I have no idea. It is, yeah, I didn't even think about that. It just was like an opening credit scene, and then they move on to the movie, and I didn't even think about it. But yeah, I feel like that should have tied into something, and it definitely didn't.
So Kate Hudson like keeps asking the guy if he wants to go to Morocco, and that happens like once or twice in the film. And that's what her resolution is, that she's on a plane. It's her last scene. She's buying a ticket to Morocco. Why
And
didn't she ask
didn't
anybody
go with him?
Why didn't she ask anybody else to go with her?
Talk about a dick move when she keeps telling this kid they're gonna go, and then she just goes by herself.
And the kid even calls her out on it right before he tells her that the guy's cheating on him,
Yeah.
or has a wife coming in.
Yeah.
But no, Kate Hudson's just all about
She
Kate
wanted to go
Hudson.
to Morocco by herself.
Terrible. So
And then the band just ends up being successful, I guess.
yeah, like it shows them
They
on
just-
tour the
they
next
just hang out.
year or whatever,
And he's just at his
no more
house
planes
doing
tour.
nothing. He ends up missing like 3 months of school, but still graduates.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
there's a
pending
lot of
graduate,
confusing.
and they have that was another like that thing that I expected to be a much bigger because the mom's like, you have to be home for this, you have to take your finals, you have to graduate, and he blasts through all of those, and like they're just,
Yep.
the only thing they do is like address at graduation where she's sitting there and they're like,
she's,
pending graduate,
she's just like a
so-and-so.
sad sack,
and
just
she's like,
wanting to see her.
oh, I'm
kid
sad,
in
and
pants.
that's all that is really done with that. And that one later they reference it with like, didn't you need to like take a final exam or something? He's like, you have no idea.
There's like too many elements to this movie. They should have got rid of some things, or some characters, or something.
Yeah,
Or just keep it simple and drag out the stakes and drag out the
Yeah.
consequences. If you go back, listen to part 1, the things that we thought happened in this film would have made it a better film. All
I
of
don't
the
want
things
to.
that we
I
covered.
don't want to be that guy to say. That
I'm
we're
excited
about
to go
it, but
back and
I totally,
watch that
I
or
can
listen
agree
to
because
it.
thinking about all the stuff we talked about, it would have been a more interesting film.
Yeah, because you kept bringing up several times how if he was a younger kid and like that was like the gimmick that he was going to get found out. And,
Yeah.
like, that would have added so much
The
more
only
tension,
person that
but-
really lies about their age is the mom lying to him about his age. Like,
Yeah,
that's
Which
the-
and
was
they never-
very confusing.
And it doesn't even it doesn't pay off.
Okay, and then again, he's like, "Wait, how old am I?" And Zoe Deschanel's like, "Tell him." She's like, "You're this old." He's like, "Oh, I'll find out." And then it moves on again. Just another
it never
potential
pays off to
conflict.
anything.
Like, number one, why doesn't he know that he's 11? Number two, why hasn't someone told him that other than his mom? Like, if Zoe Deschanel knows, how is she also keeping that a
Oh
secret?
my gosh, I don't.
And then also, like, it was weird because he was 15 later on. I was like, that transition from that kid to that kid, like 11 to 15, like that didn't make
Like,
any
in
sense.
the beginning, they also make a point to establish him as uncool, but the only way they do it is through like the exposition of Philip Seymour Hoffman saying like, I mean, are you cool? The kid's like, not really. He's like, see, we never are because we're deep critics. And I'm like, they have shown me really nothing except the fact that he's really young in his class at high school.
Yeah.
That it tells me he's a loser. He looks pretty rad.
Yep.
Like I feel like he's not an ugly weirdo or
And
something.
then
Like
he lucks into everything in the film.
yeah, he seems like he's on top of
Everything
it.
seems great.
I don't know.
Girls think he's cute.
Yeah.
There's not a problem
Yeah,
there.
I don't see the
oh
problems.
my god.
Much like this film, I don't see the problems until we think about it.
Join us next week when we're going to talk about Space Jam.
Hey, I'm going to take this time to read some excerpts from 5-star reviews we've gotten on iTunes. Roberto L. Savior Taylor says, this podcast is great, takes me back and reminds me of the movies I loved in childhood. Ethan A. Rain says, it's great to hear them reminisce about old, but not that old films. They always remember much more than I do. Shane Man 150 says, what remember is a very funny show. It's a blast to listen to. Can't recommend it enough. Aroused Llama says, these guys have knocked it out of the park. Great idea, wonderful execution, and fun personalities. Leave a review on iTunes and I'll read a bit of it on the air and give you a shout out. And thanks to those who did.